Okay, thanks so much for coming and attending this training. Your boss has just let me know about where the fire exits are. So they're just outside, so in case there was a fire, we'll just quickly go through this exit way here, get through the door, and the meeting area is outside. And is it correct that the bathroom's just down this hallway here? So if you need to stop for a break or anything like that, just please let me know. The training should probably go for around 20 to 25 minutes. And if you have any questions, just please feel free to ask me at any time. So today we're starting this workplace training session on the Good Start Practice Guide. So, what is the practice guide? I don't know if you've actually had a bit of a look. Yeah, it's a really awesome new manual that's just been developed. And this guide has the ICE steps, so we'll go into that into further detail. Basically though, this document's been formulated for the good of the employees and to make sure that we are, that Good Start staff are continuing on with their central ethos, and that being children are central to everything that you guys do. You play such an important role in the children's lives as educators, and the reason why the practice guide was formulated is it's such a great resource for people to use in their rooms on a daily basis. The other reason why this practice guide was formulated was that Good Start strive for continuous improvement for all families and children that are under our care. And therefore we always need to work on best practice, and that's what this resource is about, is ensuring that all educators and all professionals are providing the best practice for children in their care. So why has it been created? Well, it's created for you and with you. So a lot of other educators have been sourced in order to give their feedback about what they find is an important resource to use for things like, say, biting, for the learning environment that's we're creating. So we need to address why we actually need a guide. Why do educators need a guide? Do you have any guesses as to why we need a guide to help support us? Don't know. Just anything off the top of your head.
To help us improve our way we interact with children.
Well, yeah, definitely. We, as it says in this in the practice guide here, it says the guide defines Good Start's approach to professional practice. It informs educators on their daily curriculum decisions and describes the learning environments offered to children at Good Start. So it's all about making sure that educators are using something that is valuable to them and making sure that we're creating an environment that the children are feeling supported and that their learning is encouraged. One document fits all. So maybe we'll just quickly have a bit of a look. So on page 10, it just explains, of what Good Start is all about, Good Start Early Learning, as you would know as an employee, about the ethos that Good Start stands for. And here it talks a lot about how Good Start are really trying to ensure that there is that quality improvement practice and that there is that continuous learning that's occurring. The Good Start Practice Guide has sourced all of the most important documents that we need to implement every day and has reduced it down to one single guide. So what they've tried to do is use all of the documents that we're always constantly having to use every day with our documentation, and they basically have implemented this guide so we can use this one guide fits everything. So in the past, we've always referred to the early years learning framework when we're doing our curriculums and you're doing your planning. Do you feel quite familiar with the EYLF? Yeah?
Yeah, the EYLF definitely.
Because I suppose you're using it every single day.
Yeah, with all
With your observations and all your documentation. The national quality standards. So, were you at East Brisbane when ratings and assessment? No. So
It was just before I came.
Right. Yeah. So, do you know much about the national quality standards?
Yes and no.
Yeah, like there's some.
I kind of do, but there's not like I wouldn't be able to tell you everything off the top of my head.
Yeah. So I think that's what's really important because not a lot of people have gone through the ratings and assessment process. So this practice guide is really trying to help, educators that haven't gone through that whole process of accreditation. So they can use and refer to this practice guide to know what the standards are and what it actually, how it's applicable to us in our rooms. Good starts. Operational policy, so policies and procedures, workplace health and safety, and all policies that are applicable to Good Start. So things like, the biting, medication procedures, outdoor space and outdoor environment, that we have to have the checklists that we're doing for opens and closes to make sure there's a safe environment for children, outside, that we're minimising any risk and any harm that will occur to children. So basically this guide here is essentially incorporating all of those three things, so the policies, procedures, the national quality standards, as well as ELF. Okay? So if you just flip to the contents page, so page 9, it's broken it up into into I-steps. So we're going to talk about that a little further on. But yeah, when you look at this contents page, it's addressing a lot of the different areas and the different scope. Say for instance, if you look over on page 9, there's the creative arts and design, which is on page 82, socio-dramatic play, construction play, physically active play, community walks and excursions, social emotional learning, and experience practice indicators. So all there you can see that straight away that's things that are really important, that are applicable to what we do every single day in this guide. So that gives you some really good strategies of how we can make sure as educators we're providing the best practice for the children in our rooms. So we'll go into that a little bit further. So do you have any questions or queries about the practice guide and why it's been implemented? No, yeah, don't worry. You might have some questions later on. I just want to make sure that I'm covering all bases for you. Now, the fun part, I-step. So it is a little bit tricky to get your head around. So basically, we need to introduce I-step and what its core purpose is. Why do we have I-step? So what is I-step? I-step is a framework or a model that educators can use in our everyday working life. There are 5 components to the framework. So I stands for interactions and relationships. So we know that the core meaning of why we're really here and what we're about is to have that interaction and that relationship with children. Secondary would be, the relationship interaction we have with the parents, and then the community interactions and relationships that we have with each other as staff. S in I-STEP stands for space, resources and materials. T stands for time, routines and rituals. E is for experiences, obviously the experiences that we plan for children. P is for coding, documentation and evaluating the planning.
Yeah.
Now let's unpack these components. So we'll just look a little bit further into these 5 components. So I, for interactions and relationships. You'll notice here that these are the practice indicators. So what that actually means is what we as staff, as educators, need to be doing every day in terms of our interactions and relationships. So we're nurturing, responsive to how children feel, and take care of children's needs. We ask open-ended questions, we discuss and extend thinking, and offer information. Educators help children to engage in friendships. Educators connect with families, and educators discuss children's learning and well-being with peers. Has anything cropped up there that's unfamiliar to you? Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You know, every day you'd be doing all of these things, like just for example, connecting with families during drop-off and pick-up. You're always constantly interacting with families, asking, you know, how was Ella's day? Such and such has been, you know, not their normal self today. They were a bit restless. They didn't sleep. So you're constantly always having these interactions. So these practice indicators are just basically stipulating what it is that what you're already doing. So, second step of I, step S, spaces, resources and materials. Educators structure and organise indoor and outdoor environments that are well designed and flexible. So, you know, when we're opening in the mornings, we're always trying to make things fun and fresh and change the environment up so it's sporadic, it's spontaneous. Number 2, children have access to open-ended materials that they can adapt and manipulate and shape. Educators use natural materials as a priority. Educators organise the physical environment inclusive of all children, and educators display children's work and documentation on walls and easy view for children. Anything there that's not familiar? No, don't need to apologise. Do you feel that you are doing that regularly?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we.
Is there anything that you feel that, like, as a centre, we could improve in our practice? Like, anything that could be possibly just strengthened a bit?
Using natural materials.
Using natural materials.
Sometimes we use more of the plastic rather than.
Yeah, and that is a bit of a problem, isn't it? I guess sometimes with plastic, it's a little bit cheaper, isn't it, than using natural materials? So yeah, it can be a bit of a problem, isn't it? Yeah. So do you feel sometimes that children's work, out of their reach, so the children can't view what they're creating? Times, routines and rituals. Educators plan group times to expand children's language and thinking. Educators ensure children play for an extended period of time. Educators use various size groupings to encourage ritual, foster information and encourage belonging to the community. That educators incorporate routines which maximise opportunities for children to make their own decisions, and educators plan for transitions. So in your planning, there's the transitions, there's always group time and active learning. Is there anything there that you feel you do really well in your room?
I feel like we do number 4, like they get to choose what they want to play with most of the time, and like they'll pull whatever they want off the shelf.
So children have a lot of choice in your room, a lot of agency, like a lot of self-determination.
Sorry to interrupt. Is this going to be playing if I put music on?
Yeah.
I just realised after setting up.
Yeah, we're just filming. It'll be 10 minutes. Okay. Experiences for learning. So educators plan spontaneous learning experiences, extending and building knowledge and skills. Educators offer intentional learning that challenge language thinking skills and well-being. So educators, it gets a little bit more heavier here and a little bit more detailed. So we're always offering experiences that are planned and not spontaneous as such. So for instance, you're doing your group times, that might be when we're calling the roll, you could be using different languages, different greetings from around the world, so it's an intentional planned experience. Learning experiences extend imaginary play, purposeful play, and offer real life experiences. So you'll see in the bakery here, they've been doing a lot of that real life play. Like today, we gave them flour and they got to measure cups of flour, so there was flour everywhere, but they were having such a great time being able to physically interact in like that real life purposeful play. Experiences are inclusive to all abilities, interests and cultural contexts. So including different cultures, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, acknowledgement of country, those important experiences. Educators recognise, respect and encourage learning in a variety of ways. So I think that's just basically in the context of there's always a lot of different opportunities, learning opportunities in